Trial by combat was once widespread across Europe and has subsequently been popularised by shows such as Game of Thrones in modern media. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how trial by combat made its way into England and how it eventually fell out of favour for more democratic methods. Trial by combat, despite being common in Germanic law, was actually not mentioned in Anglo-Saxon law, and as a result wouldn't find its way into England until the Norman invasion in 1066. Following the Norman conquest, trial by combat, or wager of battle as it was named in England, would become a well-established law and a legitimate defence to any accusations levied against oneself. In saying this though, the wager of battle was not always available to be utilised by a defendant. A wager of battle could not be used by a defendant in England if they were taken into custody whilst committing the crime, if they attempted to escape from prison, or if there was such strong evidence against them that there could be no effective denial. Surprisingly, if you were challenged to a wager of battle, you were actually not allowed to decline unless you were a woman, lame or blind, over 6 years of age, a minor, a peer of the realm, a priest, or, surprisingly, a citizen of London, as they were protected under the Magna Carta. If the defendant was eligible and chose to decline the challenge, the case would then be settled by a jury. If the defendant did not or could not decline the challenge, then the wager of battle would take place. Wagers of battle in England were held in an 18-metre square, and following the taking of oaths against witchcraft and sorcery, the two combatants would fight. A common misconception regarding trial by combat is that it was always a fight to the death, which is simply not the case, at least in England. The combatants were allowed to surrender and stop fighting. However, if the yielder was the defendant, they would be assumed guilty and hanged on the spot. On the other hand, if it was the accuser who surrendered and threw in the towel, so to speak, they would be declared infamous, deprived of the privileges of a free man, and became liable for damages to the defendant. Despite how interesting and cool this is, inevitably this ancient form of justice would fall out of place across Europe, including Britain. The last certain wager of battle in England occurred in 1446 when a servant accused his master of treason and subsequently challenged him to a wager of battle. The master would go on to drink too much wine before the battle and was inevitably slain by his servant. It is known that trial by combat didn't fully go out of fashion in Scotland and Ireland until sometime in the 16th century, with the last trial by combat in those countries being unknown. Shockingly, trial by combat wasn't actually made illegal in England until 1819, when it was forced upon Parliament due to the case of Ashford versus Thornton, where, to sum it up shortly, Thornton was acquitted of all charges after challenging Ashford to a trial by combat, which he declined. And with that came the end of trial by combat in England, with the once widespread form of justice being gone for good. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you had any constructive criticism for me, I'd very much appreciate it if you left that for me in the comments. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, night, wherever you are, and I hope to see you lovely people in the next one.